Writing your first book can feel so intimidating. It feels like there's so much to learn, so much to know, so much to be as a published author. But sometimes it's that mindset itself that holds people back from moving forward on their book. So today I want to talk about the top 5 signs that your mindset is what's holding back your book. Stay tuned. You've got the story, you've got the idea, you just don't know the steps in the process. If this is what's holding your memoir back, I have got the solution for you. The Memoir Method Checklist is going to take you through every single step you need from idea to published marketable book. And you can download it now at pageandpodium.com/checklist. So I see this all the time. Writers who have amazing stories to tell, who really have some talent on the page, and who are so determined to write their book, but for some reason they are just not making progress. And sometimes, after we have waded through all of the things that we feel like are holding us back, all of those external things, what we really discover is that it is ourselves that is holding us back. That our sense of feeling like we are not worthy of writing this book can actually be the thing that blocks your progress. But of course, we don't want to admit that, right? So I thought it would be helpful today to talk about 5 things that I see that very, very often will lead me to target somebody's mindset as we're talking about how to move forward with their book. Now, at the end, I'm going to give you some tips on how to work on your mindset because, of course, identifying the problem is only the first step, but I do want to start with some of these tricky ways that your mindset is going to tell you you are not good enough or you are not ready or you shouldn't be writing the book, when actually we have got to dig a lot deeper. Okay, so the first thing, and I have this one first because I think it is so applicable to a YouTube channel, is that when your mindset is holding you back from writing, a lot of times that looks like edutainment. What I mean by that is I will see so many of these authors whose mindset is holding them back digging and searching and reading and watching and listening, and all they are doing is consuming more and more and more and more advice from people like me. So I say this very intentionally. You may not need to be watching my channel anymore. You may not need to buy another book off of Amazon. You may not need to pay for another short course on memoir writing. You may be ready to go. But oftentimes, when people have consumed enough of this information, they really have the knowledge that they need. It's that mindset that won't let them apply it. And this is a really, really sneaky one because what I think is happening is that we are in this world of gathering information. And at first, we need to be there, right? We need help structuring our book. We need help making a solid outline. We need help with the publishing process. We do need help for these things, right? But what happens is the more information we consume, the more email lists we're on, the more YouTube channels we're subscribed to, the more we kind of give ourselves this message that we don't know enough. Even when you've been watching videos for sometimes years, it just gives us the sense that we don't know enough. So if that is you, I want you to be very, very conscientious as you are consuming more of this content. Are you using it for edutainment? Or is it something that you really, really do need to learn? Because if it's not something you need to learn, if it's something that'll be way down the line, or if it's something that you really already probably know, think about whether it's not that you need more knowledge. It's that you need to trust the knowledge that you have. Okay, so number 1 is edutainment. The second sign that it is your mindset that is holding you back is going to look like procrastination. Now, we all go through some procrastination. In the writing community, we have this clever little name. We call it writer's block, but really, very often, this is just a form of procrastination. So what this will look like is you just literally won't be able to get words on a page. But Writer's block is not always writer's block. And what I mean by that is that there are lots of reasons that writer's block will manifest. Now, I have talked about this in a few recent videos. I've got one on how professionals break through writer's block. I've got one on memoir writer's block specifically. So head back down through our video list on our channel if those are going to be helpful to you for your writer's block. But I want to say that one of the things that will happen that will cause writer's block every single time is that you do not believe you deserve to write this book. You don't believe you are smart enough. You don't believe you're a good enough writer. You don't believe your story matters enough. You don't believe your ideas are unique. Whatever it may be for you, if you have kind of an internalized sense that you are not enough as a writer, as a storyteller, as a teacher, you will always hold yourself back. So the next time that you are procrastinating, the next time you feel like I have writer's block, or the next time you're cleaning your house instead of writing your book, really ask yourself, what's going on in my mind? Is it that I am telling myself I don't deserve to write this book? I shouldn't be writing it. Who do I think I am? Because if that is what's happening, you got to heal the mindset. That writer's block, I can give you the timer technique. I can give you all of these little tips and tricks. None of it is going to work until you fix the mindset, until you make sure that you believe in your heart that this book is what you are meant to do. And I think it probably is. So this is all just a matter of adjusting our mindset. Okay. Number 3, the third way to know whether what's happening in your writing is that you need a mindset adjustment is that you will hide this book from your support system. Now, everybody's got different support system. You may have, close friends and family. It may be, your actual immediate family in your home, or it may be your extended family. It may be a writing community that you're in, either online or in person. But oftentimes what I see happening is that people who are struggling with mindset really do not want to share about their book. So either this is going to be you don't even tell people that you want to write this book or that you're starting to write the book, or it can be, especially if you're in a writing group, right? It can also manifest as you are being very, very vague or secretive about how the process is going for you. So if you're going around a table at a writing group and it's like, oh yeah, no, I got 2 pages done over the weekend, or I wrote 6,000 words, whatever it might be, and it comes to you and you say like, I'm just moving along. It's going great. But really it's not. That is often a symptom that it is your mindset that is holding you back. And the more you kind of try to hide from your group, the more you are proving yourself right that you don't deserve to be an author. So this is a totally vicious cycle, right? You don't want to tell people you're working on a book because you don't really believe you're going to be able to finish the book. So you don't want to prove yourself right. If you just don't tell people, you never have to face the fact that you don't think you can do it. When we think about it this way, it becomes so clear that the only way to break out of that rut is to invite people into our world. But the first thing we've got to do before we can do that is get confident in ourselves. Okay, the fourth symptom that what you are actually struggling with is a lack of an author mindset is that you are going to hold back sharing your ideas and your story in the way you need to build your platform. Now, I've got whole videos on platform building, what it is, what it isn't. So scroll through those videos again. You will find some information on nonfiction authors and their platforms. But what I want to mention here is that I do find that most authors realize they need to be talking about their ideas. Now, sometimes this is built in, right? If you are someone, for instance, who owns a business, you are probably talking about those ideas, at least with your clients, if not, in your marketing and other kinds of content. But I find too that even people who are not business owners, they do realize that the way their book will become popular, the way it will help people in the way they want it to, is if they are out there speaking. They realize they need to be talking about the ideas, they need to be promoting this book even before it's written. Now, if as I was describing that process of getting your ideas out there, getting either on Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, on a stage, if that makes your blood run cold, that may be a sign that you are not quite dialed in to where we need to be to get this book moving forward, to get our author mindset in a place that it's going to propel us rather than hold us back. Now, this is a really understandable one, right? Because if you yourself don't believe that your book is worth writing, if you don't believe you should be writing it or can write it or have good enough ideas, whatever it may be, of course it's going to feel terrible to be promoting that book to other people, right? You're essentially trying to talk about ideas that you yourself don't even believe in. Ugh, sounds terrible, right? And if that is the case, what I find is doing some of this mindset work I'm going to talk about in just a second is really going to help you in so many ways. Because not only can it help you get unstuck, it also can help you move forward with some of these marketing, promotion, thought leadership activities that you know you need to do, but you just cannot bring yourself to do them. All right. And the last symptom that I see in authors who really need to focus on mindset more than they need to focus on their skills, productivity, routines, knowledge, is that you will have a lot of excuses. Now, if you have been watching a lot of videos, you may have heard this kind of crop up in your mind. And oftentimes, it's very general. Oftentimes the excuse that I will hear is, oh, that won't work for me, or, I don't think I can do that. But sometimes the excuses are so specific that it's easy to overlook the fact that they're coming from our mindset rather than from these real blocks that we do perceive as real, but that really are not holding us back in the way that we think. So the most common way that I see excuses come up is that people will say, I just don't have the time. Now, I suspect that most of you have said this at some point in your life. I have said this too. I just don't have time to do that. But you know what? I bet you do have time for other things. I bet you have time for watching TV. You might have time to sleep in one day a week. You might have time to go out to dinner. All those things are really, really great. But all those things are reflections of our priorities, right? And what I find is that most people who say they don't have the time really haven't even set a plan. And what that tells me is that not having time is code for, I don't really believe that I can do this, so I'm not going to prioritize it. That is a mindset issue. That is not a time issue, which is actually great news, right? Because it's hard to find extra time, but we can definitely work on that mindset. The second way that I see this particular excuses issue come through is that a lot of times we will need to read one more thing, right? You know what? I just found this memoir book. I'm going to read that and then I'll get started. Or you know what? I just signed up for this course. Let me go through the course really quick and then I'll start. But all of these things are not things that should hold you back, right? These are all things that you can be doing while you're writing, right? You can keep reading that memoir book while you're writing. You can keep taking that course while you're writing. And in fact, the very best examples of this type of content, really, we expect that you are writing while you are consuming them. So if you are using this content as an excuse to wait to prolong your start date, really think about, is that my mindset? Because I bet it is. The third way I see it show up is people want to do just a little bit more research. I'm just not quite ready to write because I need to get a little bit more research. I need to kind of get my dates straight, or, I want to dig a little more into this historical time period or, this cultural location, whatever it may be. I'm not ready yet because I don't have enough research. Now, all of us do have a point where we are legitimately not ready because we need to do more research. So don't hear me say that research doesn't matter. But there is definitely a world in which our mindset holds us back from starting just simply because we don't believe we can do it. And research can be one thing that we can very helpfully blame for not getting started, even when we know that the reason we're not getting started is not because we need to do more research, but because we don't really believe that we should be getting started. I also see, number 4, that people will convince themselves that they either need someone's permission or they need someone to pass away first. Very, very common in memoir, which is most of what I work with, because oftentimes we do have a villain in our memoir. One of my very most popular videos, by the way, is called How to Write Your Memoir's Villain Without Burning Bridges. Look for that on our YouTube channel. But what I want to tell you is, that video will tell you too, you do not need to get people's permission to tell your story. And you certainly don't need to get people's permission to write your story. Start now. I promise it will not feel easier when people have passed away or when people have given you the okay. It will not feel easier. You will still have that same kind of feeling holding you back if you haven't addressed the mindset issues. And the last way that I see these excuses cropping up is that people will be waiting for a flash of lightning. Now, this is something that we see in a lot of culture, that it's, whenever we're going to do a creative act, we're just going to be struck. We're going to know what to do. We're going to be so inspired. We'll sit down. Everything will be easy. Let me tell you, that is not how it works. That is not how it has ever worked for any client I've worked with. It's not worked for any of my writing colleagues. There just isn't anything that is going to come down from the blue and help you get started. You have to get started. And the way I like to think about this is that inspiration will come, but you've got to give it the container to come to. And that container is somebody who is ready to become an author. So now that we've kind of gone through those symptoms, if you've identified some of those in yourself, let me talk to you about how you can build this author mindset, because it is not only going to help you move forward, it will make you feel so much better about yourself. This is the kind of exercise that is going to pay off in spades. So let's get started. How can you build this author mindset? Well, the first thing I want you to encourage to do every single day is literally just remind yourself that you are an author. You are. You're writing. That is all that it takes to be an author, is that you are authoring something, which you are. You are. Even if you have not started typing yet, even if it's all in your head, you are an author. Now, one thing I want to point out here is, if you really have, some self-esteem issues around your writing, if you're really struggling with, is my idea good enough? Is it worthwhile? Just saying to yourself, I am an author, it's probably not going to work, right? Because you're going to kind of feel this little kind of clinch in your gut, right? That's like, oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's going to feel really, really bad. So you may need to start a little bit smaller, right? You may need to start with something like, what if I were an author? And when you do that every single day, preferably in the mirror, you will find that eventually it won't feel bad at all to say, I am an author. And that's what we're going for. That means you have got your author mindset locked in. You'll know when it happens. You'll know. The second thing I want you to do every single day to build this mindset muscle is, I want you to visualize what it is like for you, the author, to do the work of writing. What does it feel like? What does it look like? What happens when you sit down at your laptop? If you believed you were an author, if you were an author, what would you do differently? If you were an author, would you block off an hour at the beginning of every day? If you were an author, would that be something that you would do? If you were an author, would you have a favorite coffee shop that you would go to? And at that coffee shop time, words are pouring on the page. If you were an author, would you be on TikTok or Instagram Reels talking about these ideas you have to share? What would it be like? Really give yourself some time, close your eyes if that's your thing, turn on some music, and really think about, what would it feel like? What would it be like? What would I be like if I were an author? It's exhilarating, and it's going to give you a literal roadmap to how you need to move forward. Okay, the third thing I want you to do is read others' work like an author. Now, this is tricky, and I worded it that way on purpose, because one misconception I see a lot is that people assume that published authors are the worst critics of writing, that we're reading other people's books and think, oh gosh, this is terrible. Not true. Not true. The best writers I know, the most accomplished authors I know, are the kindest readers. They may have critiques, of course, but they are not in people's books ripping the prose to shreds. I promise you, we don't do that because we know that we are authors and we are confident in our writing ability. What I find is happening very often when people have this drive to criticize other authors' writing, or say like, oh, all these books are terrible, all these memoirs in this genre are terrible, I hate them all. What I find is that usually behind that is someone who is critiquing their own writing. So you're using someone else's book to talk bad about yourself, all the mistakes you're going to make, all the bad form you're going to use, all the structure, all the boring ideas. When you read other people's work with appreciation and love, you will feel so much better about your own work. It will allow you to feel confident that other people are going to read your book with a good faith effort to see the message, to understand the story, and to go forward with you. When we read other people's book and we just find all the criticisms, we just imagine that's what our readers are going to do too, and it is just a blow to our self-esteem. So read like an author and read like a real confident, accomplished author. Yeah? The fourth thing I want you to do will have already come up if you've been doing these last three, and that is I want you to listen to the objections in your head when you do these activities, when you read like an author, when you visualize your author self, when you tell yourself you're an author. What alarm bells go off in your mind? When I have imposter syndrome, the thing that I will hear is, oh, yeah, but you're not as good as that person. Or, yeah, but you're probably not going to be able to finish this thing, right? It's a little something that's going to undercut what you're trying to do, and in a way that probably you do in all arenas of your life. I do that in all arenas of my life. I work on it all the time, but it will still crop up for me. And I bet you have something like that too. So as you are visualizing, as you are telling yourself, reminding yourself that you are an author, what are the objections that are happening in your mind? Pay attention to them and think about them logically, because I bet they're not right, you know? I bet it's not true that you won't finish that thing. It's not true for me. I finish pretty much everything I start. So that isn't even true. Think about what is the truth? What is the logic that can really counter those mean things that you're saying in your own mind? That's what's blocking that author mindset. So we got to get rid of it. It's got to go. And the final thing I want you to do is I want you to talk with other people about your authorship. I want you to tell them about your book. I want you to tell them about your writing. And I do not want you to hedge. What I mean by hedge is to say, oh, no, I'm writing a book, but it's probably not going to be very good. Or, I've been writing, but I just can't seem to find the time. You hear how we say that first part? That is some author mindset gold. But when we hedge, we add this extra little piece that really we're telling ourselves, actually, this is not true. None of this is real. Take that hedging out. Instead, I want you to confidently tell people, I am working on a book. I have a book idea in mind and I can't wait to get started. No, I'm an author. My book comes out next month. However you want to say this, I want you to say it clearly and with bold confidence because you are an author. If you're here, I guarantee you are an author. Okay, all of this is about confidence and the feeling of stepping into your role as an author. You are that. So as you are moving forward, I really want you to work on some of these techniques to build that mindset while you watch out for how those symptoms crop up and block your progress. Both are really important and both are going to pay off so much more quickly than watching a bunch of YouTube videos. I promise. This book is going to be great. Reach out and let me know when your book comes out because I want to celebrate right alongside you. Happy writing. You know what they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And this is exactly what holds so many people back on their memoir projects. That is exactly why we created the Memoir Method Checklist, a full, complete list of every single step you need to take to get that memoir written, published, and marketed successfully. You can download it now at pageandpodium.com/checklist.